Hey, greetings friends. Hope all is well with you and yours. The view here you got for Room Street on the back where that blue pickup is, and then that's Franklin Street. Our urban garden here. We'll talk more about that later. But what I wanted to talk about real quick is just to go for a little stroll around the block, maybe 5 minutes or so, point out some of the different things that are going on, and then talking about some ways that we, our family, and the people I'm connected to, how we're doing some different things to make things happen. So we are trying our best to be an oasis for wildlife. We've got lots of different birds that visit this city planted tree. This tree is a type of a chestnut. You see the leaves here. So in the fall, it drops so much debris. I call it a dirty tree. But the squirrels live here. We've got birds. We've got a local woodpecker that comes all the time. Here's a flip side view of our yard. So we've got lots of different things growing, and it looks like we've got some space that I'm going to be filling in later as well. So we've got blackberries that we're testing out in a container, 2-season roses, just planted, a lemon tree that's coming on. We got blueberries coming, a bunch of my artwork and sculptures. That area that's over there looks like a mess. I'll go over there a little bit and explain that later. We've got grapes. And we've had some issues with the lantern flies, but I've done a couple different solutions, and they all seem to be working. We will have, hopefully, an abundance of beautiful, delicious, locally grown grapes right here. You know, a lot of stuff that we eat can be grown. It's just that we don't do a good job of teaching people about the importance of growing our own food and how that can make an impact not only on our communities and so forth, but on our bodies, etc. So we're taking usage of some of the outside space that we have and planting different kind of herbs. Like this here is a lemon balm. Oh man, it's great for tea. So what I like to do is tell my neighbors, just take some, put it in a tincture. We didn't grow up eating mulberries, but I found that a lot of folks in other countries love mulberries. So we naturally let the mulberries grow here so that folks in the community, when they want some mulberries, they can come get their mulberries. We've had some rain recently, so I got to get out here and clean this drain. And again, you can see this drain is, debris from the trees, natural things, etc. But it looks like we got some plastic packaging, some food wrappers, etc. So when we have that, it's up to the person who lives here to keep that clean, because they dump to waste, drains to waterways. Yeah, so dump no waste because it goes to our waterways. And if it's going to our waterways, then it's something that we're going to need to do as far as the filtration. We got chemicals and all that other crap in there so that we can even drink our water. When you think about some simple things that make sense is Trenton, for example, where I live, it sits on the water, sits on the Delaware River. It's the capital city. Why not make the infrastructure the best that it can be in the state by saying, hey, we have the best water in the state. Anyway, here's the flip side, Room Street side of our yard. Again, that's an overseeding of 3 sisters. So that's beans. There's probably 4 different type of beans in there. Zucchini or squash. And corn. And there's a bunch of different types of corn in there as well. Black, multicolored, etc. You can see we've used raised beds. This is something that I decided that we would go to because we don't know what the soil is like. So because of that, it makes sense for us to control that soil. And then we got lots of flowers, and then we bring in some wildlife, meaning wildlife. We invite birds to come in. Saw a rabbit not long ago. But then here we've got several different types of herbs. There's mint, there's lemon balm, catnip. As I said, 2 season blooming roses. Definitely always got to have a show of art, let folks know that artists live here and that we support the art in various different ways. There was a huge oak tree here that got struck by lightning, so we've actually turned this into our active compost pile. And then when I was in the garment industry working in the retail locations, I was able to get some mannequins secured. Years ago, those mannequins were very expensive. Most people couldn't even afford them. But as the industries and things changed, they just throw them away. Well, to me, I couldn't dare stand to see these mannequins that were generally based off of a person's body, not so much anymore. There's no way that I was going to throw this away. We're doing our water capturing. It's not complete, but that's the setup that I put together from the Isles water capture class that we took. The city's doing a couple of different things. This is one of the areas that we really wanted to make sure that we addressed what's happening here. One, it's a high-speed area, it's a high-traffic area. Recently, they've come out on multiple occasions and filled in these potholes. But what we're looking to do is to have them turn this into like a plateau, or maybe even change the direction of the roads. A couple of infrastructure problems with this is this sign has been hit several times, the stop sign. And as you can see, it's a short stop sign. This isn't, I mean, it's pretty short, so short that, you know, people are putting gum on there. But our vision was to slow traffic down, maybe do a three-way stop here, or even a plateau, or consider changing the direction of traffic here. We are glad to see that they put crosswalks in, but oftentimes these just get ignored. So that traffic light that's down there, that's a quarter mile away. And that's the only stop. That's the only stop on Dayton Street. That light is at Broad Street. Broad Street to here is a quarter mile straight shot. We're encouraging the city to do is to do four-way stops all the way down, maybe change traffic patterns, etc. But slow traffic down. And at the very least, at this pole here, put a signage up that says, hey, you have to turn, or dead end, or an arrow, or something like that. Changing subjects a bit, you know, places like Trenton, you know, that are old, you're going to have cemeteries. And these cemeteries, you know, they're not going to be moved. So this one, for example, is from a Jewish congregation. And I've been in contact with the congregation occasions when we've had issues. When we've had issues with, say, a tree falls down and it's blocking the sidewalk, or someone needs to get in. And they've done some different things over the years to work with the community. They've put a trash can out, etc. Although the people have utilized this as a dumping ground. That's a total another thing. So what they've had to do, they've had to put a lock and so forth on here, so you just can't go in. But what you can do is you can call them and get the code, and if you want to come through, pay your respects, or do what we've done in the past, like walk through as a relaxation, take pictures and things like that, they are available to do that. But they're going to ask you questions, as they should. So check this out if you have someone who's buried here, or you'd like to learn more of Israel congregation. And again, they've been very helpful in the past. Again, like putting trash cans out. But what I want to point out is an opportunity for growth is what I'm looking at and thinking about here. So if you look at this, this is a very, very wide sidewalk. Sidewalk's probably 4 feet wide. And then if you think about, okay, the property line, let's say, you know, maybe, I don't know what it is, another 2 feet over on this side, that's excess grass that you have to cut. And then you go over to this side and you say, wow, got like another 3 feet here and grass that needs to be cut. And the sidewalk is in definite disrepair. And whose responsibility is that? And then you say, hey, look, this is a Saturday afternoon. The curb's a little beat up down here. Let's go take a look at that. Yeah, it's a busy Saturday afternoon. I'm going to show you the business district that's thriving here in the Franklin Park, Chambersburg area. So you can see this sidewalk is non-existent, or curb is non-existent. And of course, you know, we still have issues with people dumping things and trash, etc. But if we look back this way, you start thinking, man, yeah, the sidewalk is in definite need of repair. And, well, besides being in repair, that is a lot of excess space. So what I'm envisioning is what about if we trim back the space that's going into the roadway, move that over a little bit more, shorten up that sidewalk a little bit more, maybe see if the Cemetery would give up a little bit space here so we can move the sidewalk in and maybe reduce their taxes if necessary. Maybe they'll just give it up, whatever. Put a new sidewalk in. And then maybe down here at the corner where we're going to walk and point out some of the business district, we do a little bump out there so that people can comfortably cross the street. As you see, we got restaurants and stuff here doing good business. We like that. But then the patrons, they've got to do a better job. We can't continue to live like this. And this isn't just these local businesses. This is alcohol. So there's no liquor store right here. There's only a liquor store the other way. So that means someone's either bringing it or they're drinking. And man, take care of the neighborhood a little bit. Don't blank where you live. So again, if you can envision, say where this Jeep is parked, if it was bumped out further so that the walk across would be shorter. And maybe if we changed the directions, maybe this is a one-way out to Liberty Street or a one-way in from Liberty Street. I don't know. We have to talk to the engineering department about that and if it makes sense. But what I'm thinking is how do we make more parking on both sides of the street for the businesses, etc. But then I'm also proposing that we put in an EV charging station as well. This cemetery is not going anywhere. So they're not going to develop this into an apartment or houses or anything like that. So the only parking that's going to be around here is going to be public parking. What about if we took the public parking and put an EV charging station in there to be a bit more progressive and to show residents that, yeah, we're interested in this. The city of Trenton has EV parking stations as well. We've got some across from the arena on Hamilton Avenue, but then also downtown Trenton, they've got some that are coming online right on South Warren Street in front of the old Maxine's. So I'm not going to go all the way down here, but I do want to point out some of these things in this proposed business district that the Franklin Parks Northeast Block Association, Trenton 365, what we're suggesting to do. And then from there, we'll get over to Councilwoman, current Councilwoman Jenna Figueroa Kettenberg, and talk to the folks at the city and see about getting this done. This is also part of the urban enterprise zone. So what that means is this area has special funds that are set aside to help these businesses. Help these businesses with things like marketing. The New Jersey EDA has a website program that's available. In particular, it helps restaurants. But then to assist with things like signage, maybe there's some things that you need done on the inside of the building. There's actually even some grant funding that's available for you to hire people. Now, what I'm saying with the hiring is make the hiring not just for people, but let's be specific. There's a lot of seniors who are here who could use some jobs, and maybe even some younger folks right out of college or maybe even still in college that could get that work. But so I'm going to go from here, which is street. So I'm going to go from here and see Brown Street, similar stuff. We got people who are trash in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But we do have things like this crosswalk that's working. The La Familia grocery store takeout place is fabulous. You see they've done a good job with providing outdoor seating. But this is part of what I consider some of the business district. From here to the traffic light, which is Clinton, and back this way to the other traffic light where CVS is. There's I think 14 different businesses here that could truly all benefit from more people knowing that they're here and that they're open and that they're active and they want people to come through. But I'm proposing that the city do their part and make sure that it's safe, it's secure, that the businesses are getting the opportunities that they need. Like, hey, to have potholes, and why can't we have a better drainage system? This looks like it's quite old. This is also an intersection that we probably will benefit from 3 or 4 stop signs so that people can comfortably cross the street. And they've done some things by adding trees, but if the city planted these trees, what kind of impact is this making on this building and their drainage? I'm not sure about how these businesses, I don't live directly near them, so I don't know how they're doing like with their neighbors and things like that, but we still have issues with litter, and we still have issues with people, not taking care of things. I mean, unfortunately, we have a lot of dirty people. So again, maybe a 4-way stop sign here, or a 3-way stop sign here, maybe clean up the tree a little bit, some better lighting. How about some signage, etc. I have been here at this bakery though. This bakery is awesome, it's delicious. They do not bake on the premises, but the stuff's delicious. So if you're interested in baked goods, etc., I would say come check them out. So Trenton also has a lot of roadways that are alleys. Now, no one owns these. Like, you can have access to your property like the folks on the right do here by coming through the alley, but it's not yours. So people need to maintain it. The city needs to do a better job of maintaining it. Here's another issue. When we have telecommunications that are done, people switch over from one brand to another brand. Well, that brand just comes out and cuts the wires, leaves them. And when I talked to someone, they told me it wasn't their responsibility. Here's the pole, get that number. So I was told that that's not the responsibility of the telecommunications company. So I said, well, if it's not your responsibility, if you're the red company and the blue company now comes out, what happens if this just keeps repeatedly happening? And they gave me some 800 number, and that was pretty much it. So maybe we ought to start finding these companies or holding the households or businesses accountable for that's a form of litter, isn't it? The main area of the business district that I'm thinking, as you can see here, it's quite busy. You've got people who are trying to meander between Franklin Park neighborhood and then Chambersburg, which is over on the other side. As you can see, it's difficult. It's tough to meander. So what I was thinking was, if we're cutting back, say this on this side, let's say to about here, and this was extra space for parking and new sidewalk, etc. So these businesses or these people wouldn't have to cut the corner that wide. It would expand parking here. And if there was one way in or one way out, I just think that it would be a little easier. Again, I'm not the specialist in that, but we're going to be reaching out and seeing what the city can do on their half. I've talked about this drain here for years. This is something that there is no way this is getting cleaned by the city sweeper. There's no way. I mean, this is debris that, caked on, baked on. I don't know if it's grease. I don't know what it is, but it's disgusting. And it's something that should be fixed. And we can see that there's obviously an issue with the whole drain because the crack runs all the way down. You can see that this pole is actually leaning as well. Again, more telecommunications errors and mistakes. And this is the corner of Franklin and Varun. So if we go this way, we're not sure if Varun should go one way in or one way out, but we'll see. Again, these businesses are very busy. As you can imagine, walking across without a crosswalk here can be very, very challenging, especially with the speeds and things that people are driving. The very busy laundromat. You can see that there's some tree cutouts, and it looks like if you go 1, 2, and 3, only 2 is about to die, 3 is thriving. But if these are city planted trees, they need to be maintained. We need to explain to people that our poles are not meant for billboards, and if you put anything on there, any of those things, it's your responsibility to come clean them up after the event is over. I believe that's a $250 fine for each one. Very busy restaurant and Salvadorian pizzeria, family supermarket, the other supermarket down the street I mentioned, this is part of their groupish. Again, city planted tree. How is this tree impacting their roof? Maybe this tree should come out and maybe something else should be put in. The sidewalk's definitely impaired by it. So what about ADA compliancy? Here we go, we got signage. Let's put the signage in the most difficult spot to see it and not even replace it. Put it behind a tree and in front of a pole. Again, who knows, this tree may have been struck by lightning. It looks like someone cut a piece of it off. But instead of leaving this eyesore here, why don't we just take it out and either not put any in or put all new ones in? And again, thriving businesses, national businesses, more salons. Again, this grocery store family supermarket is trying their best. It's ADA compliant. But we have folks who just don't want to follow some rules. It's nice to see that folks are not speeding at the moment. Nice to see that, there's no one out panhandling. And we're about to walk, just down a block closer to where our home is. And these are just simple, small things. I'm not saying that I've got all the answers. I'm not even saying that I got any of the answers, but I have a willingness. And the people that I've spent time around who get paid for this type of thing, I've absorbed the things that they've said over the 15 years of doing radio and television. I've absorbed the ideas and started following some of the processes and things that they've put in place and that they say will help to combat crime, combat litter. Hey, what's up, y'all? Good. So I know by what they're saying and what they're teaching and what they're showing is successful in other places. I'm just saying, why can't we do it here? But while doing that, we also run into this space where I become, and others like me become, bigger minorities, because now we've got this understanding and knowledge about what works in other places and we want to implement them. However, we might not be able to on our own. We might need the assistance of the local, state, or county municipality. So then we have to learn to communicate with them, and they need to learn to communicate with us. So that's another thing we have to go to and go through. At some point in time, it can get very, very tiring. At times I find myself saying, why am I so concerned about these particular things, and why not be more concerned about other things or thing? And every time I do that, I get an awakening in my spirit. Learning more about who I am and where I've come from. And the fact that I've learned to extend grace to myself and grace to others. And upon doing that, I can't quit. I can't stop. Multiply that with a family that's supportive and loving and recognizes and knows that this is my calling. And being in a space where I can fellowship and spend time with others who don't look like me, don't have the same background as I do, but they can edify that this is my calling. So it puts me in this space where it's back to me again. Like, am I going to do this? Take advantage of these gifts and the blessings and things that I have and the responsibility? Or am I going to try to run from it? I'm not running. So with that, I'll be pivoting a bit with, I guess, some of the content and how it's distributed and how it's captured and where it goes. As internally ramp these things up to a space where I'm living out the ideology that no one's going to do it for us. Yeah, nobody's coming. And if they are, they haven't been very outspoken about being here. So if you're coming, come on. We'll be ready when you get here. And even if that's that 1-2 person team, we'll be ready. Benefactors, people who really want to develop a community, people who really recognize the importance of location. People who understand that diversity is a strength. At the same time, we'll be teaching others how we do it. We'll figure out how to share the message, get younger people involved in the process, respect our elders, regardless of how old they are, have priorities like our environment, water, education, reading, through programs like library boxes at Trenton. Need to fill it up too. Supporting artists and others, even those who aren't even near us. I'm Jacque Howard. Get in touch. If you really want to do something, I'll tell you from the rip what I can do, what I'm willing to do, what I bring to the table. Remember, friends, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.